information products and tips on how to create them more strategically or more efficiently. So first off, the first tip is that, well, it can be great to create an ebook to experiment in a new niche and test the market demand. Long term, you're going to want to expand and find how to create products that cost over $100 if you want to do well in internet marketing or selling information products. And the reason is because at the beginning, selling an ebook can seem great, but the cost of lead acquisition nowadays with pay-per-click and even with SEO in many markets can make it so that the profit margins on a $20 or $30 ebook are not great. Even though you have almost no cost, just delivery, the cost of getting those leads can really add up. If you pay $3 per click or $1 per click even, and it takes 1 out of every 10 people buy your ebook, 1 of every 20 people buy your ebook, you're not making a huge margin there. But if you sell, say, an audio program for $100 and you have that same conversion rate, or even slightly lower if you spend $30, $40, but you just made $100, then you have a better chance to make great margins on that product. So it's important when you're planning out your product line, your product pipeline, that you aim eventually at least to sell products that cost $100 or more. Another tip for information product creation is to interview experts in your niche to become an expert in your niche. Some people, when trying to launch a business, say they've always been interested in this or that, or they've worked in this area a little bit, but they're not very confident about their abilities there. You know, how could I create a product on that? I barely know what it is. I've just read a book on it. Well, anybody can become an expert in anything. Everybody starts from ground zero. So the best way to become an expert, I believe, is to constantly subscribe to blogs, newsletters, read books every week, and then the idea I'm suggesting here as well is to interview experts in your niche. If you need to start with, meet with people locally for coffee, pick their brains, as you've read the first few books in the industry and picked enough people's brains for free over coffee, then what you want to start doing is recording these interviews over the phone in MP3 or WAV file format so that you can eventually have your own audio program in this industry, and that will help you create an information product that you could typically sell for $50 or $100 or $300. And at the same time, it's growing your expertise in a few different ways. One is genuinely growing your expertise because you're picking the brains of all these experts who have 7, 10 plus years experience. Next, you're also positioning yourself as the super expert, because if you have gone out and done all this work and talked to 20 different experts within the field and gathered all of their best practices, then everybody knows that all of that information and knowledge is now inside of you and integrated into your ideas and how you work and what you know about the industry. So in some ways, you're on the same level or even slightly above those other experts, because chances are none of those 20 experts you've spoken to have gone out and interviewed 20 other experts in their niche. Sure, they might have worked in the industry for 30 years and worked with thousands of people, but it's different than spending your time constantly with experts and gurus within an industry. So it's a great way to build an information product and build your expertise in a new market. The next tip is to design systems behind the business before you launch. And a good analogy here is that if you're going to fix a train, it's easier to fix the train when it's standing still than when it's moving down the tracks. That can be a little bit tricky. And if you launch your business with things not set up to handle customer service, product delivery, invoicing, frequently asked questions on your website, it's just going to be harder to do once you start. You're going to be distracted. You're much better off focusing, just spending a complete week getting all those things in place, all the processes documented, everything you're going to be doing once sales come in, going as soon as you have any evidence that the business is going to work at all. You might want to test out the idea before spending 100 hours making sure all the back-end things are in place. But as soon as you've done just a small pilot test and you know the business idea will work or the service is going to sell or product will sell, then what you need to do is put all these things in place before you start getting a lot of customers. Because I've known specific companies that, for example, I had a client a few years ago that launched a business, had clients coming in, the business was making $6,000, $7,000 a year, and he was keeping so busy with customer service and customer inquiries and coaching and consulting that he couldn't step back and improve how the product was delivered, what was included in the product, how he did customer service. It took him a full year to improve all those things, where if he had done a lot of those things up front, he might have had a $10,000 or $15,000 a month business. So it can really make a big difference long term and leverage your time if you're confident in your idea working. The last tip, or another tip I have here, is to design that basically to design your website and your product so that it conveys the value that it really holds. Many products and services might be worth thousands of dollars, and so you're able to sell them for say 300 or 400 and give your client a great deal on the value of that product. But if it doesn't look like it's worth the money, then it's going to be obviously hard for the customer to believe it's worth the money, even though in reality it's worth a multiple of what you're charging. So what you have to do is make things very visual. If you're selling an information product, you're typically taking intangible knowledge or intangible things and trying to take tangible money from the potential client and give them this piece of potential value. So they have to trust they're actually going to get that value. So to do so, you have to have top-end graphics, you have to have pictures of the product, you have to have testimonials, maybe video or audio testimonials. You have to do everything possible so that the design of your product and website conveys the value that you're charging for your product. The last tip I'll have here for information product creation is that you should have automated product delivery and follow up with your potential customers. So when someone buys your product, it should automatically confirm the sale and email them that product, so you don't have to sit around confirming sales all day. That doesn't help you at all. It doesn't help the customer. They have to wait until you check your email and confirm the sale. It should be automated so they instantly get confirmation and instantly get delivery of their product. Second, you should also use follow-up emails, systems such as Aweber, so that when you have a potential customer come to your website, they download your ebook or they're interested in your product of some type, they put in their name and email address, you can follow up with them once a week with an email telling them more about your service or product or giving them more free things for their business, and that way they can get to know you over time and you can give them value first. And it's kind of an automated way to build relationships with potential clients. So I hope these tips for building information products help you grow your business. Thank you for your time. And again, this is businesstraining.com, where we help you double your qualifications and boost your compensation.